What's good, everybody? 2022. Welcome to Smoke and Mirrors Podcast. Y'all know the motto. Y'all know what we always say, man. This is my man Slick right here, the co-host. I'm your man Worldwide LA. White couldn't be here tonight because he had to take care of some different things. But we are here. We are here with TYSUN. Paperwork good, and we're going to really get into this interview. We're going to dig deep into this interview, and we're going to let people understand what's going on from the magazine to his life and how this whole thing got started and what it was brought about. So we're going to get into it. Slick, you got anything you want to say?
You know, it's me, Slick, here. Hashtag Slick Chat, you know. Find me on Instagram, Slick Chat. You know, follow me, pay attention. You know, we here. It's going to be a great interview, though. Got a lot of questions. I've been holding on to a lot of stuff inside, so now I can get them out.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? But we here, you know, here to introduce TYSUN, you know.
TYSUN. Paperwork good.
Owner and founder of
Urban Life
Magazine. Urban Life News and
Magazine.
Paperwork Good clothing line, you know. Paperwork Good. A lot of y'all young people out there don't know nothing about that good paperwork, you know.
Well, we're gonna
talk about that. We're definitely gonna get into that.
Especially
you know
for these youth.
For these youth. So we're gonna start it off like we're gonna ask you, TYSUN, like the whole thing before we even get into the magazine. Like we want to know more about you, like you know what I mean. Your story as a man, like what got you started onto this whole journey? Where you know what I mean? Where did it start from? Let us know that.
It started from the bottom, King. You know what I'm saying? And when I say the bottom, I mean it just started from the bottom of life, the game, you know what I'm saying, the streets, and that's just a significant part of my story because I spent so many years in prison, so many of my formative years in prison that while I was in prison, I believe that I developed a certain level of consciousness. So instead of me getting rid of that, I tap into that side and use that consciousness to connect with these youth and to give a voice to the fallen soldiers that are still there. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make me, but it gave me some definition as a man. And a lot of people ask me if I hadn't gone to prison, would I be the same person that I am? And I don't believe that I would.
Facts.
I wouldn't want to do it again.
Correct. Right.
Because of all the losses.
Right.
And all the trials and tribulations that you go through.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm thankful.
Definitely.
For the people I came in contact with and for the lessons that I've learned through that journey. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no mistakes in the universe, and circumstances don't make or break the man. They reveal the man to himself. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So I'm from Freeport, Buffalo Projects, Liberty Park, you know what I'm saying? And I'm born in the 70s, so I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. You know, so those of us who of a certain age, we know what growing up in Freeport, Roosevelt, Hempstead was like in that time period. We know what it was when you came outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was kind of like you almost had to get down or lay down. Whatever get down meant for you.
Facts. There
was a challenge for everybody and at every turn. You know what I'm saying? And either you folded to the pressures or you found some sort of niche to give yourself a voice. You know what I'm saying? And it just so happened that that Robberies was my voice. You hear me?
To the little bit.
So the Robberies.
Too loud.
He giving back though.
Yeah.
The Robberies is what landed you in prison. First bed in prison.
Yeah. But the Robberies is not a glorification. I'm not sitting here suggesting that was the thing or that you should be out here. Yeah.
Circumstances.
It was just circumstances, man. Because upon reflection and contemplation, I had to figure out why I ended up where I was, and also speaking to the youth, I had to try to figure out a way to connect to these kids because we're far removed from the streets now, and so when we're trying to give back, we got to kind of connect back to the people that's still in that space. So I tried to figure out a way that I can be effective at kicking it with them, but I had to understand that none of us pick where we born.
Correct.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We can't pick where we born or where we from or what goes on outside when we get out there.
Right.
And so we find an avenue that is natural to us.
A habitat.
But based on where you from. So when you come outside at the formative years with peer pressure is strong, you might be hanging with some dudes that's doing a lot of fighting. So y'all beating dudes up.
Correct. So you want to that.
Yeah, or you might find dudes that's hustling.
Right.
And so y'all might start bagging up. One of the dudes that you hanging with, their brother might be getting money, and so you might start pushing some stuff.
Correct.
Right? He take a liking to you. You got a fly. You got a presence with you. Even though we might think that he should discourage you, but it don't go like that.
Amazingly, that's how it truly happens. That's real talk.
You know what I'm saying?
That's real talk. Like, that's how it really happens. A dude getting money in the hood, just drawn to you. He
Yeah.
just like your energy, and he want to put you on.
Yeah.
He like the way you move as a youngin', and he want to put you on. That's truly the way it happens. And there's no, there's no other way. It's no.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Unfortunately, these guys are our heroes.
Circumstances, yes, our heroes, the people that we see most. Making the most moves, looking the flyers, nice jewelry on nice clothes. The girls is talking about them. We like, damn, I want to be like that when I get older.
Yeah.
It's real shit.
We
don't see too many senators and governors and mayors and presidents in our neighborhood.
Not then.
Not then.
Times evolved, and now
right,
you can see that because those people stood off the backs. Truth be told, off of hustlers and people who sacrificed their lives and put their younger brothers or younger siblings or cousins in position, we talking 10, 20 years ago, who are now in positions of power off of somebody else's struggle. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
We all fucked up, bro. Whether you from Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Staten Island, Long Island, we all come. We all one or two generations away from slavery and people who are struggling.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's only in the last few years where people started having 10 and 20 years on their job, Verizon, Cablevision, and the fruits of their labor is starting to show now.
But now back then it wasn't showing.
Yeah, because if you look at the game now, the working dude is really crushing it.
Right.
And the hustlers is kind of doing bad.
Right.
Because ain't no stability in the hustle game, and the game done transform. It ain't what it was.
Nah, they messed it up. I'm telling you, the government messed up the hustle game. I'm just letting y'all know that. They don't want y'all to get money, so they start bringing this shit in. And then when they bring it in, they only bring in a little bit of it so you can get caught, get fucked over. Just stay away from the shit. Man. Get a job, I'm telling you. Let's create more jobs and get a job. More
and be the boss of a nigga who's coming home from prison, unfortunately.
So your first bid for the robbery, right? Well, how much time you got for that? And what age was you?
I was 16 when I did an armed robbery and riding around in Hempstead. You know what I'm saying? We did a little bullshit robbery with BB guns. I was 16. My two co-defenders was like 20, 21. I spearheaded the whole joint. You know what I'm saying? They was in an adult dorm signing statements on me. And I was thinking the whole time I was going to get a 6-5. 6 months, 5 years probation. At least no more than 8 months in the county.
Correct.
They sent me up north.
That's crazy.
First time
I was 16. I was a baby.
That's crazy.
My daughter's 16.
With a BB gun.
Yeah, with a BB gun. Ain't nobody get hurt. Well, I slapped him one time, but I ain't hurt him. We got to keep him honest.
That ain't enough hurt.
You know what I'm saying? But my daughter's 16 now. So I'm just thinking from a perspective of a parent that imagine her going up upstate.
Having to deal with that.
Having to deal with those. You ain't no imagine those men up north, man. At 16, you think you are. Out here. Like even these dudes out here that's young right now, playing around in the game. They think they a match because they can pop a grown up out here. But in there, things level out, King.
Different.
You become who you truly are.
Yes.
Okay.
And a lot of motherfuckers regress in there.
Yes, and then you see them old timers in there that's really running shit, and you see, and then you become the boy that you are until you begin to take those steps to transform yourself. But you can't foresee every lesson that you got before you because your mind is undeveloped. You're only 16, 17. You might be an earner, you might be tough, you might have shot somebody, but the true reality of who you are will level out because water seeks its own level. You know what I'm saying?
Talking that shit.
That's so serious about that though. And I think that's where the presence of the older generation of dudes went, because everybody locked up, and I think that's why these young dudes don't really respect the older guys like they used to. I remember in my day we used to, man, shit, oh that's such and such. They ain't have to tell me nothing but one time, man, take your ass home. All right, cool. Like when you try that shit now, the young boy they
trying to pump you now.
What? But it's like, damn, bro, I can foresee some shit that you might not even see coming around that corner. And if you just pay attention to me and lift your blinders ain't me. You thinking your blinders is me. No, your blinders is what I see for you. And if you just lift them a little bit and just listen to me, take heed of what I'm saying. Yo, young boy, go home, man. That shit ain't really about nothing. Don't even worry about that little fight or whatever you get into. Leave that shit alone. I can foresee some bullshit for you, and you might go ahead and go home, and you might live to tell your story tomorrow.
Because your wisdom, your experiences allowed you to see beyond what they can see, man. Right?
Yeah.
Your years give you depth. You can see because you got enough time to have seen some things.
Right.
So you can see in his movement, you can predict in his movement pretty much where they headed at. You know what I'm saying? What happens is they created a divide between the youth in the older dudes in the
Yes,
prison.
definitely.
The crack era.
Definitely.
The crack era fucked us up. Not to be overly political and philosophical, but it's the truth.
It's the truth.
Crack era fucked us up when the young dude was making more money than his parents, and his parents was smoking or drinking. Then he lost respect for his own dad and mom, so he definitely lost more respect for you.
Correct.
And now the dudes who are old that was running prisons, now they're too old.
Damn.
And these young babies coming into the prisons now and joining these gangs don't really know who this old influential nigga is. But he could have been an ex-Panther, or ex-guard body, or some influential dude from the community who is now obsolete, because that's what prison do, man.
Damn,
It drowns out our voices, okay?
You really just sparked me with
right,
that.
But there's a
disconnect.
Because Rakim and Daquan, his dad been locked up for 15, 20 years. Damn. But not only his dads all across the state of New York did 15 and 20 for 3 grams of crack. So now when they coming home with this name and these 16, 17, 19-year-old dudes that are seeing some paper, seeing more paper now, scamming than this nigga ever seen selling bricks.
So they're not trying to listen.
He ain't trying to hear you because the game evolved, bro. The game ain't a hustle game no more. It's this game. It's thinking. It's apps. You know what I'm saying? It's reading. It's comprehension. These kids are bright. They're just using their brightness in the wrong direction.
Correct. They are bright.
They bright though, King. They bright. They
are bright.
But as equally as they're bright, they're equally silly.
Silly, yes.
Correct.
And uneducated.
Yes.
And they don't give nothing about they don't give 2 shits about the community.
That's crazy.
And now that
I talk to my kids about that all the time.
Right, but before you say that, they smoking this powerful weed.
They don't even know what's on it.
And they popping these pills.
Yes.
So they unconscious, man. They're in the zombie state of mind, so they don't really got no value of life, and they really trying to live this music.
Yeah.
Like you popping a pill, you smoking the weed, you listening to this music, and you really thinking like, this nigga violated me, I'm gonna pop the shit out of him. You know what I'm saying? But you under the influence, and when you get into a situation, you feel like you gotta live up to the song.
To the song that you say, you gotta be who that song.
You pop them, and then what we said earlier, box in the hallway. You never really been through nothing. How you gonna do 10 years in prison?
You can't even survive.
Now what we do?
You don't even know how to survive.
Paperwork ain't no good. Paperwork ain't no good.
They telling on niggas they ain't got nothing to do with their situation.
Yeah.
They going to tell on a nigga that did some other shit 2-3 months ago, get him locked up
because they skipped the
step.
And they didn't want to listen to you.
They didn't want to listen.
Because they thought that shit you were saying was uncool.
So let me ask you this: your first bid, like you said, you were 16. For that bit, 16, 17?
Yeah, I was 16.
So you got sentenced to how long for that?
I did a 1 to 3. I went up north. I went to Camp Georgetown, which wasn't really a fucking camp. It just didn't have a gate. It was 269 prisoners, 1 dorm, 2 dorm, 3 dorm. And somebody listening might even know about Camp Georgetown. 3 dorm was the so-called honor dorm with the older dudes, different kind of jobs. That was kind of smoother. But it wasn't a lot of gangs then. It was the guards, peace to the guards. It was the Muslims. It was the Nietas and the Latin Kings, and it was neutral niggas. Neutral niggas ran to jail. You know what I'm saying? But it was segregated in the boroughs: Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan. You know what I'm saying? We're talking 1991, 92.
Right.
Correct.
So it was segregated. It was segregated by niggas who grew up together. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they was getting busy. They was getting busy, bro. It was no gate. Niggas was sneaking out the dorm, hopping out the windows 2, 3 in the mornings, fucking inside, in the back streets. But these dudes is out of control, bro. Out of control.
And you 16, 17
and I'm
years
16.
old.
I remember one time, right? I was 6. I was in the day room. I was in the day room, which is where the TV is at, and when they play the movies and all that. I was writing a letter and shit. And mind you, I left Nassau County. Nassau County was off the hook. A lot of people don't really want to respect it. We give it up. Back then, these niggas was getting chased off them tiers. You know what I'm saying? They was over there in PC and the funny tiers. You know what I'm saying? Right? Yeah, they was getting their heads stomped off. But this was the first time I really seen a nigga almost get touched. So I'm sitting there writing a letter. And I seen this Spanish kid come in, then the black kid came in and blew a razor at him. I was like, whoa! Now I'm still 16. I'm just gonna keep it real. I'm still 16. Yeah, right. And as quick as they came in, was quick as they went out of there. So I didn't want to run at it like, yo, niggas just almost got cut. You know what I'm saying? I kept it smooth. My heart was beating, even though it ain't had nothing to do with me.
Right.
I got my little my pen and pad together, and I got the fuck up out of here.
Yeah, definitely.
Because now you got to check the temperature of the jail to see what's going on. Make sure it ain't got nothing to do with the people who you associated with.
Right.
Right.
You
You know what I'm saying? Because you involved, whether you want to be or not.
Now you a target.
You know what I'm saying? So that was the first jail. So I left that jail. I got sent to Workley's. Back then, that's when Workley's got shut down. So I got stuck in Fishkill. Now Fishkill is another different jail. This is a little bit older. This jail is dirty. This is grown man jail. You know what I'm saying? But it was pretty smooth. I stayed in my lane, but the quality of prisoner was different. It was more serious because these are the dudes who was coming down from Attica, Clinton, Sing Sing, Greenhaven.
These motherfuckers.
People that been in
These are
for.
motherfuckers with bodies. And they already been in for 20-something years. They coming home. They don't know how to act. You gotta watch your mouth with them niggas.
Yeah. This is when this I feel funny saying that. Like this is when Booty Band. This was on the crowd. You had niggas like had their weight up, 360 waves, chains on, but these niggas was manipulators of dudes who were uneducated in the indirect ways of manipulation in prison. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I ain't have to go through that. Let me just get that straight. You know what I'm saying?
But you're saying,
but I'm gonna just keep it real. Had I been under the radar of that, it would have been a rough challenge because again, I'm still only 16, 17
years old.
These niggas
these are
30,
grown
40, 50. They schooled in the ways of prison, and back at that time, niggas mind their business. It ain't like it is now. Now there ain't none of that shit really going on unless you chose that kind of life. You know what I'm saying? Unless you got a weakness in you and you just succumb to that. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody will advocate, yo, get out of here. Somebody will advocate on your behalf. Somebody will intervene and say, nah, that's my little bro. Whether he your little bro, you represent your little bro or not. And that's pretty much what happened to me. I was under the wing of the guards or some older, influential, militant type dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like we said earlier in the hood, when a dude gave you a pack, he took a liking to your personality and your swag. Same thing happened in prison. You know what I'm saying? Those militant black dudes, I was a young guard. They brought me under the wing and schooled me and made sure that I was able to see the things that I needed to see to survive.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
So now you come home. You about 17.
I'm 17 now.
You're 17, and you got what you want. You came home on parole.
Came home parole.
Parole.
So now I'm a 17-year-old dude on parole, and what a 17-year-old do on parole. Now they trying to live the stories that they heard from these niggas in the boroughs.
Correct.
See, I be listening to these interviews and watching niggas talk that shit and they don't be telling the truth about where the swag be really coming from. We ain't the authors of the swag. The swag came from niggas who came before us. You know what I'm saying? You hear them stories up north and them shits is intoxicating because a 16, 17-year-old nigga in the Bronx is different than a 19-year-old nigga in Long Island, bro. You growing up in the house, you jump in some backyards, you might pop a nigga from the bushes, but there's 1,000 niggas living in those buildings in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? And this brother is the nigga who run everything. So the mindset different, the access is different. So when you hearing these niggas talking about they have 4 Benzes, you know what I'm saying? And they was selling this 8 for key a day, and you like this, oh shit! I'm about to go home and get crazy.
I want to know how you heard the story.
Yeah, because the stories is intoxicating.
But see, the big thing, I think the big part about that, what we don't understand is they get away with that shit in the city. Drugs is, in the city, it's like everybody doing it. So they get away with that shit. Long Island?
It's too concentrated.
You know what's crazy?
People to
babysit. You know, I know some niggas from the city. How do I say this? I don't know if I was ever selling drugs or anything. Kids, I don't know nothing about that. Don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Don't listen to nobody tell you that. I did some shit like that. But what I'm saying is, I know some niggas in the game. Well, back then, they used to be like, nigga, I ain't meeting you in Long Island. I'm not coming past that movie theater over there or Green Acres Mall.
That's what they knew about.
Because you know what them city niggas knew? Nah, they give out different time out there.
They didn't know that.
They give out. The shit is like multiplied by 100. For the shit we get in the city. Like, you had niggas going home. Niggas was getting caught in the city with...
Niggas was going home on gun charges.
Kilos. Niggas was getting caught with bricks and getting bail.
Facts.
You get caught with 10 grams in Long Island back there, I promise you. Your bell was 150,000.
They put you on the news.
Yeah, you on the news.
Stealing from
A1
Walmart.
felony.
Yeah, A1 felony.
Steal from Walmart, you
It was
make
a
it
difference.
news.
But
Crime
watch
Stoppers.
this. The crazy thing is a lot of people can't tell you this because a lot of people don't know. Nassau County is ran like a commonwealth. The
Talk about
city,
it,
they have two different laws. The laws from the boroughs is different than the laws in Nassau County. And a lot of people don't know that. But I learned that from an old head nigga in jail. He told me, yo, this your first charge. Nigga, don't worry about it. You'll be home in that's 6'5" to you. Don't worry about it. You'll be home 6 months, nigga. Don't worry about it. And I was like,
And,
all right, cool.
and on top of that, in the law books, right, they got some cases that say except Nassau County.
They say
that's in the law books.
Damn, I forgot the terms of it.
Yeah,
I know that shit in the back of the law books.
Nassau and
Westchester
County. And
Nassau,
Westchester
Suffolk,
County.
and Westchester
What-
County.
yeah, where
they
you
say
from?
these laws apply exempt Nassau,
And Westchester.
Suffolk, and Westchester County. This shit is
bro,
crazy.
it's a different. It's a
So let me
different
ask you this,
ballgame.
Tyson. Do you think when they say like the 6'5", right? You don't think that that's a trap? Because a lot of people used to say that before. Like, I remember before my brother got locked up back in the days, right? He used to always be like, man, I just wish they just give me 3 years. I don't want that 6'5" because I'm coming home now, I'm on 5 years parole or whatever, and it's just like a trap because now you got to do everything right. Within those 5 years, you get jammed up, you're going right back.
I ain't a criminal, but you want me to explain that
Go
shit
ahead,
to you?
explain it to me.
That shit is guaranteed. Let me just explain to you.
You
why
ain't-
it's
you ain't
guaranteed.
finished yet,
You
man.
17,
You
bro.
ain't finished
you ain't
yet,
finished.
You
bro.
17 years. Let me just give you the 16 to 21.
Okay.
You still a kid, honestly.
Right.
Even when you're 21, you still a child because at 21, you still don't know the shit you need to know to get through life. So 16 to 21, you of course you gonna come home and do something else. You know why you gonna do something else? Because jaywalking is a charge. So if you get caught, if a cop pull you, just listen how this shit sound. If a cop pull you over and want to frisk you, and you be like, what? No, that's resisting arrest. That's a charge.
Yeah.
If you get caught in a frisk and you on that shit, why did the cops stop you? They can violate you for
Yeah,
that.
'cause police-
So all that
yeah,
shit,
bro.
police contact.
Police contact,
So
correct.
police contact can be something as simple as you witnessing a crime
And not saying nothing.
and not saying nothing.
So it's a
Like-
trap. That's what I'm saying. So it's a trap.
And then it depends on the parole officer or
Right, the
probation
parole
officer,
officer,
right? Who may be an asshole or may not, and utilize that to send your ass back up north. And see, and that's the aspect of the system that we can't control.
Control, yeah.
And oftentimes it's hard to communicate about it because you ain't thinking about that shit consciously. See, because the game is to be sold, not told. And we learn this game by default.
I'm
So
telling
none
you.
of us come out the house knowing the game, right?
We just
You can
flip,
listen to a nigga
fall,
all
trip.
you want, yeah, but you stumble your way to knowledge,
That's
and it
it.
depends on what type of person you
Exactly.
are. It determines how much of this knowledge you keep.
Exactly.
Like, you know what kind of nigga you are at 16, 17.
Right.
I was always sharp. You was always smart. You was always intelligent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In all humility,
Yeah.
we might have did dumb shit and did some stupid
Stupid
ass
shit, yeah,
moves,
yeah,
but we
yeah.
basically our mold was already set.
Exactly.
There was some niggas at that age we knew was stupid.
Dumb as
They
fuck.
wasn't trying to hear, not stupid in the sense that they wasn't trying to hear it.
Yeah,
They wasn't
understand, yeah.
conscious of it. They didn't know that even though they was doing some bullshit, you know what I'm saying? That they still had to do some good shit.
Correct.
See, I relegate that with my kids. My kid, like I got a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old and a 16-year-old that's fucking street smart. Know everybody in the streets. Every time they out say, yo, what's up, y'all? I be like, what the fuck? They know more people than me.
yeah.
But then I got a motherfucking 17-year-old and a 12-year-old and another 9-year-old that's they smart. They just book smart.
Book smart,
They
but
be
not read
like,
the streets.
and then when I explain shit to them, they be like, oh, I ain't know that happened. I ain't know, because they don't know. But it's a difference between being book smart and street smart. And usually most kids that's book smart, that's not street smart. Most kids that's street smart, not book smart. And you can look through, like, I know my kids, I look through it every day. I be like, boy, let me sit down and read a book with this nigga, because he ain't, you know.
No, but you know that's deep though, because that has something to do with the way they learn.
Right.
I
Right.
got 3 kids. You know what I'm saying? My oldest daughter is 16, my son is 10, and my baby is 2. And my son is more book smart than he is street smart, and my oldest daughter, she's more what we call street smart.
Right.
She got more
She
common
understand,
sense.
yeah.
She's
Yeah,
more in
what's going
tune
on.
with the pulse of
Like, you don't
swag
do that.
in the
You're
world.
not supposed to do that outside, bro.
Yeah, but academically, at his age, he's sharper than she was.
is right, exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
That's how my kids, that's
like
how
academically, he's more in tune, but she can run more game on him and ruffle his feathers.
Definitely.
Because it has something to do with what I exposed her to early, at an early age, at the level of growth and development I was at. Not that I was streets, but I was, you know what I'm saying, less polished, and she she traveled with me certain spaces. She saw more.
She picked up on that street stuff.
Yeah, and to go deeper than that, she learns different.
Right.
She learns. She can regurgitate what she hear and what she see. Right, and that's street smarts, because in the streets, you ain't got a lot of people teaching you what to do. You gotta learn. You learn on the fly. You gotta catch it, King. Right?
Address.
You know what I'm saying?
Forward
if you don't,
the address. If you can.
Yeah, if you don't catch it, then you become a victim of it in the streets until you wake up out of it.
Correct.
And then when you wake up, what you do? You do it to somebody else. Right? Then because you practicing a new skill until you get it, and that's how you pick up game. Right?
Correct.
You pick up game by being the victim of that shit first, King.
Good.
You know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you this now, Tyson. So now you come home.
Looking?
No, he just hit me on my other phone. So now you come home. I was going to ask you what it was, so I could put it in. So now you come home.
2270.
Huh?
2270.
Okay. So now you come home, Grand Apple, right?
Yeah.
So now you come home, Tyson, right? When's the next time you get jammed back up? And why, when you was in there, when you was talking to these older dudes and you seen what it was, what made you go backwards?
Oh, he already told you that.
Well, the seeds was planted, but they ain't.
He already told you what happened.
I heard motherfucking stories.
Let me look at that. You heard them stories.
I heard them stories. I got you. I'm gonna get to
it.
it.
For the young ones that's listening.
Nah, but I wasn't finished yet. I wasn't finished.
We got time.
No, meaning I wasn't finished my journey of lessons yet.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I was the young God. I had knowledge of self. I had developed a joy and love for reading and studying, not only because it was required of me at that time to be able to show and prove, but I had learned that I was good at it. You know what I'm saying? It gave me a power. I started to develop in my mind. I started developing my sense and my ability to read and have understanding. And that shit was fly and dope to me. Not only that, the guards was fly at that time. And what I mean by fly, I ain't talking about gear and clothes. We ain't talking about the affection of another man.
Power.
We talking about the power and respect that these individuals yielded in the prison. By way of knowledge, information, discipline.
They move together as one.
The way they move, but not only as one, but individually, they commanded a certain respect that came from what they knew. I never seen niggas control a whole aspect of a situation just by the way they conducted themselves. And all these dudes couldn't fight. All these dudes, it wasn't about a razor all night, although that was a part of it. But their power came from knowing themselves. And in knowing themselves, they knew you. They was in tune with what was going on. So I had a foundation of knowledge, but I also was intoxicated by the streets. And I still was going back home to a fucked up situation. A lot of times we go to prison and we change, but the environment that we going back to is still the same.
It's still the same.
And so at 16, 17, and 18, your discipline and your mind is still undeveloped. So you ain't stronger than your environment yet.
Okay.
Because you still are evolving, but you are still unevolved. You haven't reached the point of power yet. I mean, this growth comes to different people at different times.
Correct.
So I was still a young nigga who wanted to get busy in these streets. Let me just keep it live.
I
had chose the streets. I had chose the streets, and I ain't have enough yet. But the seeds had been planted. But it take time for the root to grow, and for the root to be nourished. You know what I'm saying? For you to have a certain amount of life experience, and for you, man, fuck all that. Simply, the shit got to take its course, bro. That's why sometimes it's hard to talk to these youth. You know what I'm saying? Because it just got to run its course. They got to run its course, bro. Because a lot of times we be faking if we say we ain't with this shit, King. We just ain't with the getting caught part.
Right. Exactly.
Ain't nobody no saint.
Exactly.
We still like Cubans and we still like nice shit. We still want to get fly.
We just don't want to go through the bullshit.
Yeah, we just don't want to go through the bullshit and just, you know, You know what I'm saying? So I still had some lessons to learn. So the lessons came quick.
Yeah,
4 months later.
4 months later,
I went to a store with some peoples. We went to the store, and I don't know why I did it. I had a pocket full of money because I was selling bud, but I fucking took a hat off, and I'm gonna keep it real. It was one of these fucking stories I heard about up north, what these niggas used to do.
Go ahead. So you wanted,
I gotta keep it real,
Go ahead.
because there's a little nigga out here, or maybe an old fool who's gonna try some shit.
Yeah.
And they gonna get jammed up because.
So that's what it's for. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, fair. But anyway, so I got a pocket full of money because a lot of times this shit ain't really about the money.
Right.
It's just about how we living at the time.
Yeah.
So we're in the store, we shopping around. I had a hat on. I took one hat on, put another hat on, threw it in the bag. I thought it was that easy. They was on the camera looking at the whole movie. Hey yo, so as we leaving the store, now I don't even want to tell you the store name, right? So as we leaving the store, and these niggas are coming from both directions. And I see these niggas a mile away, bro.
Damn.
So instead of me saying, all right, bro, you got me, let me pay for this shit.
Yeah, here you go.
I go the dumb way and start flipping, trying to run. They tackle me. I'm like, yo, get the fuck off me. You know, I'm acting the part, King.
So now
I'm acting the part.
So
They
now it
tackled
turns into something else.
They tackled me.
Shit.
They took my ass to the precinct. You know what I'm saying? And fortunately, I got a precinct bail. And I was able to bail out, but then I had to go to my parole officer and explain that bullshit. And they didn't violate me at the time.
Oh, you was
the violation came later. So now this is how the violation came, because you know, you slick until you're not slick.
Yeah.
So now I'm selling bud, right? I'm a young nigga, right? I'm picking up my first little ounce of weed. You know what I'm saying? I forgot there was a weed spot in Freeport over there near the cab stand. I forgot it was one of these first. It was one of the first weed spots.
Magnets.
Not Magnets. That's Roosevelt, right? That's Road. It was in Freeport. So anyway, I got an ounce of weed.
I just be knowing shit. I never indulge.
You know, a classic nut spot.
Okay. Yeah.
So I got this weed. So instead of me leaving the weed home and going to report and come back, I'm an ill jail nigga now. I think I can do anything. So I got the whole half ounce bagged up in my pocket.
Oh shit.
What they gonna touch me for? They don't got no reason to touch me.
Right.
But the law of the universe don't never sleep. And there ain't no mistakes in the universe. You know what I'm saying? And so if I'd have got away with that, who knows what that brazen accident did for me. You know what I'm saying? So I went up in there. I had Miss Craig, right? Miss Craig was a white parole officer. She was out of control. So anyway, I did my meeting. She said, all right, Mr. Tyson, I'll see you later. I said, okay, cool. I'll see you later. So as I'm getting up to leave, remember I'm a cool nigga too. It's summertime, it's June, so I go to put my shades on. And the bag of weed drop out.
And that was it.
That was it.
Holy
But think
shit,
about it, I finished the meeting. I was out of there.
Yeah.
But the way the universe is set up, man, I had to go back and relearn those lessons that I skipped.
You skipped it. So they violated you on that.
So they violated right then and there because he came, the supervisor came.
Definitely.
He said,
You
get on
came
the
in
wall.
the spot. Yeah, you
Pat
came
me
in
down
the
and they
spot
found
with weed.
6 more bags in my pocket.
You got in the building with weed. You got in the parole
like
building.
you're an asshole.
Yeah, why was he gonna do this?
Yeah, like he threw me to the jail. Like, I didn't even take a bus or a van to the jail. He threw me from parole right to the cell. Get your stupid ass out of here.
So for that, you got violated.
So I went back up for 6 months and I went to Washington. And anybody who ever been locked up, you know what I'm saying, they know what Washington Correctional Facility was like green. It was gladiator school for the young dudes. So I went there, you know what I'm saying, and I did my little 6-month, 4-month violation. I did 6 months, 4 months out of that. I came home on work release, and I got through that. This was like in 92, 93. Now the whole Freeport and Hempstead is in work release out there in Queens.
You know, hold on.
Queens,
You know what's crazy? You know
the
what I want to say?
hood is home.
You know what I want to say? I gotta say this because this is like a pinnacle part in people's lives. Like for instance, y'all motherfuckers was locking people up for weed. Now it's legal. Y'all need like we as black folks need to put a stand on that. What we need to put on that is every charge that was given to a motherfucker for weed needs to be taken off. they wreck it. They need to
Facts.
wipe that shit clean. You need to pay the motherfuckers the restitution back that you made them pay, if that any was paid. Like all that shit. We need to fight for that. That's a big thing that we need to fight for.
That's real.
A lot of people got motions in on
Yeah,
that.
that shit is crazy.
Because people did a lot of time off that shit.
A lot of people got motions on that, and also, like, they was giving dudes serious time. 20 pounds. They was sentencing it like it was coke.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Bro, that
I'm
shit
talking
is
about
crazy.
25 years.
Now you can smoke
24
it and walk around
years.
with it.
You
So
done
a lot of
took
dudes
motherfuckers
got
out of their
motions in.
homes.
A lot of dudes
You done
came
took
home with
Yeah, a
motherfuckers
lot
out
of
of their
dudes
homes
came
and
home,
some
and
shit
a lot
that's
of dudes
legal.
going to come home. You know what I'm saying?
That shit crazy, man.
So you did the 6 months washing. Now you come home, you on work release.
Yeah. So now I came home on work release. I'm a little bit more mature now. A little bit, and it's 4 months, but it's a violation. It's back into prison, and so 4 months in prison is like 4 years in the streets in terms of the shit that you learn and what you go through. If you a conscious person, there's people who go in and out of prison and they're the same person they was
when they went in. Yeah, correct.
They like it. They like it.
And so I came home now. I'm a little bit more focused and serious about getting to the bag. You know what I'm saying? This is when I bought my first gun, and you know, now I'm really looking to step it up. And shortly, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you talking real, guys.
Shortly, yeah, I mean, you know, I bought my first gun. You know what I'm saying? You know how it was back in the day. You borrow your man gun. If you need to do something, it's for a gun. We talking 10, 20 years ago. I'm definitely talking about 10 or 20 years. Where the cameras at? I'm definitely talking about 10 or 20 years ago.
I got children that follow me.
I don't even care about the children. I care about the feds watching. Ain't no guns in this motherfucker. We anti-gun.
So you buy your first joint. So now you feeling
joint. Now I'm really feeling myself.
Go ahead.
And that led. I was 18, and that led to another bid when I was 19. And that bid when I got arrested at 19, and I came home 30.
Damn.
See, you know what I'm saying? Now it's serious. Now life has changed.
Yeah.
So now in retrospect, there was no proms. You know what I'm saying? There was no college. There was no hanging out with your boys. There was no dating.
Yeah.
All the things that a young teen and a young evolving man is supposed to do. Now I'm getting all these lessons inside a seat, because now I'm not 16 and 17 just going to do a 1 and 3 in a violation. Now I got sentenced to 8 to 16. I did 10 years. I did 10 years and 8 months straight. So now I'm in prison.
Now this is prison. This ain't no going home on a work release. This ain't none
of that. This is an armed robbery.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's time.
This is an armed robbery. Now this is where reading is for real. Now this is where the lessons that I'm learning, they're for real, because these lessons that I'm learning are lessons that are keeping me alive. They're keeping me crispy. You know what I'm saying? Because they're a matter of life and death. And we're not trying to say that to be dramatic. We're not necessarily talking about my story, but we're talking about my experience. Of the time.
Definitely.
But it was survival for real, bro. When you're 16, 17, who comes to see you? Your moms, your grandmoms, your pops. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a favorite aunt.
You know the correlation to that.
Or you maybe parts of maybe your best friend. Your best friend.
Yeah,
your best friend.
The nigga that you love to this day.
Part me on this. Look,
right?
You know the correlation to that. You know that used to be something that was always said to guys that was, in the streets, getting entangled in shit. On some Jada shit, entangled, fuck up. But that was always said to guys in the street, like, yo, ain't nobody gonna be there for you but your moms, your pops, maybe your sister, brother, grandparents. They said who the people you hurt the most when you going through that shit.
Yeah.
Your moms, your pops, the big. It ain't the motherfuckers you hanging out with, doing the bullshit with. It's the motherfuckers at home that's hurt the most. So
that's real.
A lot of times, when I witness a lot of young guys do a lot of reckless shit. You know what I'm saying? And the truth of the matter is, it's like y'all only hurting when y'all see a nigga rest in peace on a shirt. You hurt.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? But there is a step to take before you get to the rest in peace on the shirt. The step to take is, yo, bro, we don't even need to involve ourselves with that shit. Yo, bro, like, nah, you know what? Let's not even take that drive, my nigga. You know what we should do? Let's just sit here at the crib, drink, smoke, chill. You know what I'm saying? Yo, man, them niggas violate. You know what? Fuck that. Them niggas violated. man, we're gonna leave that shit alone, man. Fuck it. Let's try. You know what? Let's try to piece that shit out. Let's see if we can talk to him and piece that shit out. Cause ain't no sense in us hurting each other or making another mother cry or another sister hurt or another father in pain. You know, like it's a lot of shit that go into that because you know, something that you said. The universe is, you can't run from it. It's the universe. You know, what you put out into the universe is what you get back.
The noise is too loud, though, okay?
Yeah.
But the noise is too loud.
Yeah.
And you saying that from the perspective of an adult.
Yeah.
Somebody who been through some shit.
Definitely.
Right? Somebody who been through some shit.
Definitely.
What shit do for you?
You know what? You're right. You said it.
Right?
You definitely said it.
Right?
You definitely said sometimes you gotta let shit take its course.
No, you don't want to do it.
Right.
But we can say because it's going to happen anyway. But we're just speaking about the reality of the process. Definitely. Whether we control it or don't control it, it still got to go through its course.
Yeah.
Right. Even with the common cold. Yeah. Right? Or this new thing, the corona. You catch it, but you catch it. You can take vitamin C, you can take vitamin D, you can take Theraflu, Tylenol, you can subdue the pain, you can subdue the symptom, but the virus still got to work its way through its system. That part you can't rush.
By the way, don't none of that shit work. Just drink you some tea with lemon, orange, put oranges in it, lemon, lime, honey, natural shit. I'm telling you, it worked. I had that shit. I'm telling y'all, I had that shit, but don't tell everybody that I had it. I'm just telling y'all.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but like I read in my favorite book, James Allen, As a Man Thinketh, right? And it said you can put your hand in the fire, but you can't stop the burning when you take your hand out of the fire. See what I'm saying? Because the burning sensation got to work its way out. And then you might need a cream. What's a cream? A cream is a thing that you put on the hand and wrap it, and that subdues the burning. So that burning that cream is synonymous with building with your brother. You know what I'm saying? Talking about what you're going through with somebody else. Reading the book. Those are creams that you put on the burning to help you through. A cup of tea with honey. It ain't gonna stop the disease or the cold, but it's gonna subdue the symptoms.
Your body gonna stop that shit.
You gotta go through
because it gotta go through it.
Your body definitely heals itself.
But there's a benefit though. But there's a benefit that comes after that. There's power that you go through after you withstand the struggle. And that's the part that most people can't see because they get blinded by the pain.
Correct.
See what I'm saying? And that's with prison. A lot of times, everybody in prison ain't conscious. I mean, we hear the stories, we watch everything, we hear what's going on. Everybody come home ain't conscious. Everybody not coming home to do the right thing, and that's their prerogative. You know what I'm saying? But they just doing whatever they got to do to get through another day in prison. So they run into the ball court, they run into the chess table, they run into the poker table. You know what I'm saying? They trying to subdue the burning.
Shit they could have been doing on the outside.
Yeah, I mean,
shit you could have been doing on the outside to not be in that situation, but you don't take advantage.
I mean,
of it.
But what happens?
Now you're forced to do it because there's nothing else to do.
But what happens if you hit somebody in the car by mistake and it wasn't your fault and you wind up in prison?
Right.
See what I'm saying? Because everybody in prison.
Like, you know, commit a crime.
Yeah, but you know what I realized though, like nobody's exempt from prison.
Right.
Especially in America. Nobody's exempt. Anything can land you there. But we supposed to carry ourselves a certain way that circumvent that
from us. From us going. But this, you know, this shit is just it's a perpetuated system. It's a cycle that we gonna always go through it. It don't matter, you know, like. We're gonna always go through it. White people go through it too. It's funny because you know we always be like, man, they only lock up. No, they lock white people up too.
Oh, no, they in there.
They lock them up, but
they got the best jobs
too. They just give them like some shit that
shoveling shit. They're in the main office.
Right? We can do the same crime. We can commit the same crime. But the difference is, I know you know a lot of us be like, oh man, they don't do this one. No, the difference is that they give us 10 years. They just give them 2. So I mean,
it's a reality.
So it is, but it's the same. You know, they do get locked up.
So what made you like? At what age when you said, "All right, we probably were sitting there for those 10 years"? Did you say when I come home, I'm about to channel myself into doing this and doing this and doing that? I'm not going back to this shit no more. I'm not giving this place no more of my life. You know what I mean? When did that hit you? When you said enough of this shit, I could do something else?
Definitely. Because that's definitely a conversation you gotta have with yourself.
Yeah, with yourself. That's why when you sit.
I had the conversation many times. I'm in tune. It happened in the last bid because after the 11 years I went back to the feds. 922G, felon in possession of a weapon.
Damn.
That's when I was in my 30s and I had some
This
life,
guy
and that's
likes
when,
weapons.
and that's when
Yo, that's how they say it in the court. He's a weapon guy.
Your Honor,
That
he
guy
still
there.
had, Your Honor, Your Honor, he still hadn't told us where the guns is at. That's what they said in my sentencing.
That
Yo,
guy
Slick,
like weapons.
that's what they said in my sentencing. Yo, no, Your Honor, he still hadn't said where the guns is
Yeah,
at.
they be wanting to know. They
The
want that
fucking-
shit.
the case
They
is
want that
over.
shit. Yes, they want
I'm
that
getting
shit.
sentenced. I got fucking 40 people in the
Yeah, they want
courthouse.
that shit, bro.
Bishop Mackey
They
from
want it.
Roosevelt spoke. You know what I'm saying? I had the brothers from the lodge there. I spoke to the judge for 8 minutes, honorably, of course. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the AUSA assistant or district
District
attorney
attorney,
said, no, but Your Honor, he still ain't tell us where the guns is from. The Your Honor said, man, sit down and respect this man. This man, this ain't his story.
Yeah,
he took responsibility for what he did.
Yeah, right. Like,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's when my paperwork was really good. Leave this man alone, man.
Leave this man alone.
He
Let's do a
official.
show.
Word, man.
Paperwork
So
good.
that's what I'm saying. So when
So, but when I was
Right.
in the when I was in the feds, I was getting ready to come home. They gave me 52 months. That's 4 years and 4 months. I did like 3.5 years.
that was after the 10.
Yeah, after the 10, I
For
went back.
those that don't know, the feds give you months.
Yeah, so I
They
did,
don't give you years. It
Yeah.
does add up to years, but they give you
but they
months.
sentence you in months, like
Right, so-
like 300 months.
Right.
and all that
So
shit.
whenever a motherfucker come home to my they gave me 3 years to watch that nigga paperwork. Go
Yeah,
check it.
yeah,
He
because
might
they
be
don't
fronting.
sentence you in year. He's speaking
Yeah.
the wrong
Right.
language.
He's speaking the wrong language.
A lot of niggas be talking about, I remember that time I bailed out by the
You don't
feds.
bail out from the feds.
You don't bail out.
Feds don't give bail.
You submit, they give bail, but you got to submit a bail package.
Back, right. It got to be a whole bunch of
To
shit.
the magistrate.
But let's say
and they,
this,
and
though.
they, and they gotta accept it.
Right.
And it's not, and it's usually
Nah.
in property.
Yes.
And
But
we
let's say this.
And we usually
Let's say
get
this.
shot down.
In order to, a lot of times, in order for the feds to bail, that shit is like, to get bailed out for the feds, you got a 95%, 5% chance. 5% chance to get bailed out because they don't really go for our shit.
Nah,
Real shit.
So it's not happening.
It's
Now
not-
they
don't
say
really
once the-
happen.
They say
Now-
once the
now-
feds
You
come
gotta
out,
be
they-
millionaires. You gotta have millions already.
And even if you got millions,
It's still rough. The real
it's
shit is
still
still
rough
rough.
because it's the federal government, and your charge is usually what's going to keep you there. Because when the feds is they different. When they come, they already got
They
you.
got you.
They got you.
And if they don't got you, they got you for a
For
purpose.
something, yeah, it's
No,
for a
they
purpose.
they play
They get
chess, not
somebody
checkers.
else, yeah, they get
If they
somebody
don't
else.
got you, they know that offering you 20 years is gonna break your back.
Mm-hmm.
It may not, but they know 9 times out of 10
It will.
that the people who really don't got nothing to do with
Do
it,
they? Yeah.
because they lock grandmothers up in the feds.
Yes,
This
they
is
do.
different than the state. This is different than, you know what I'm saying,
Yes,
the
they
little
do.
state charge and all that. They lock your mama up. They locking everybody in the house up
So,
because
yeah.
you had to have knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a conspiracy.
And that's how they feel.
But check it
yeah.
out. Anyway, so when I caught the 4 years, I'm in FCI Allenwood, and I'm getting ready to come home, and I'm trying to figure out what I was going to do. I still had a certain love for the streets, but I knew at this time I'm 30. I had a wife. I had a baby. I couldn't go back to the streets. You know what I'm saying? So something made me entertain the idea of coming out with a magazine, and
Hold on. Before you get into that.
Yeah,
Okay, again, we are here with TYSUN, Urban Life News, the owner, the author of this magazine.
Facts.
And
Make sure
we
y'all
want y'all
tap
to know
in.
that. Make sure y'all tap in, give it a shot, give it a read. You know, he got a few of them, and it's good. This was his first ever one. He wanted me to make sure I put this out to the people. But now you can get into
they
that.
got that Styles P.
Oh,
joint.
we got that Styles
P. and his
P.
wife.
Shout out
Yo,
to Styles
hold
P.
on. I gotta say this.
Aisha Hall in the back.
I gotta
Aisha
say
Hall,
this.
too, another-
Ish, my girl. Listen, I gotta say this. The reason why I gotta say this because a long time ago I heard Jada say Styles P was the best lyricist ever, and you know what? I finally come to realize that Jada, that he is. He really is. I had to go back to listen to Ghost, and there was a reason why I was calling him the Ghost because he's writing a bunch of people's shit. And I didn't know that back in
A lot
the
of people
day.
didn't know that.
But you know what, Jada? I want to say, yo, real shit, my nigga, real shit. You know, I always thought you was the best, but yo, Styles P's definitely, you know,
Tell Jay to come get some of this paperwork. Good shit.
Yeah. Come get Jada. Come get some of this paperwork. Come support paperwork.
Paperwork good. Urban Life News magazine.
You can find it online.
Said niggas already checked that, huh?
You know
Come on and
check that.
Come on downtown.
You know what I'm saying? Urban News. You know, come support.
So go ahead, Tyson. So then,
tell us a little bit about what made you
came home and you
this.
said you wanted to do this magazine.
Yeah, so I was getting ready to come home, and I was trying to figure out, you're trying to figure out what you're going to do. You either going to get some bricks, you're going to do some robberies, you're going to sell some pounds, or you're going back to school, right? This is the real shit.
The real shit.
You're trying to figure out what you're going to do, what you can do, what's within your ability to get money, right? And so I was like, maybe I could try a magazine. I don't know what made me think magazine. Maybe because I had thought about it up north a little bit too, and the thought resurfaced. But I know I zeroed in on this shit, and I said, you know what? Let me figure out a name. And so once I got the name Urban Life News Magazine, I didn't really love it either in the beginning, but it made sense for what I was trying to do. Urban Life News, information about what goes on in the places where we come from. So I started putting the business plan together, and I'm thinking Don Diva, Fez, As Is, Straight Stunting, Double XL, all these joints that came before us, they all in jail. I got every one of them shits in my cell, like 50 magazines.
Right.
I'm in the lab, I'm breaking them down from cover to cover. What goes in the inside cover? What goes in the back cover? What's supposed to be in the middle? Where the order form page is at? You know what I'm saying? Where the business page? Where the business information page at?
By the way, he's teaching himself.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
How to create a magazine. And that's real shit.
And so I came home and well, let me just go back real quick. What made me really want to do the magazine? Because I looked around the environment of prison, and I saw that. Shout out to all these other magazines, but I saw that these other magazines got rich off their stories, but they didn't particularly give nothing back.
Okay.
I'm just saying, man.
Yeah,
real shit.
I'm just saying, man.
Real shit.
I'm just saying, man. Ain't nobody really give niggas back, man.
Right.
You had to have a name. You had to be somebody to get in those magazines. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I was like, I want to come in the footsteps, right, in the spirit and essence of those same magazines, that same type of hip-hop, street cultural swag, but with an added element on giving specific information back to those men and women who were still there. The latest law, how to demystify the criminal justice system for that old lady who going to visit her grandson who really don't know what's going on in the prison. You know what I'm saying? We got to put our mask on.
No.
We got to put our mask on. You know when the motherfucker cough, everybody be getting mad nervous.
That's why I don't drink Henny. That shit gotta be right.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna wrap this real information around models, clubs, what's popping in the streets, what's going on, because a nigga ain't just taking hardcore information. When you giving the baby medicine, you got to put that shit in applesauce.
Correct.
So Urban Life News, the covering, the interviews with celebrities, talking to niggas who've been to the highest echelon of the streets, that's the applesauce, king. But the medicine is their story of transformation. How did they transform the game? How did they change? How did they go from 20 bricks to owning a building? You know what I'm saying? How they go from 20 bricks to owning a dope-ass mansion in New Jersey and renting cars out, right? Because that's an aspect of the game niggas ain't telling you about.
Yeah.
So when I sit down and I get their story, and it might sound like glorification because, you know, we still in the streets. But the essence of that is, how did you do what you did?
Right, exactly.
Because although it might be dirty business, it's still business.
Right.
It's you still got to have a certain mindset to be able to achieve certain things.
Right.
It ain't just easy to come out here and make $100,000 a week. I'm talking about the Furtado brothers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
It ain't easy to sell out work every 3 days. They was a part of the Seven Crowns. They was the kings of the Seven Crowns. You know what I'm saying? Lance told me he had like 300-400 people working for them at the time. So they was selling out every 2-3 days. You know what I'm saying? I asked him who was the kings and queens. He said, Tyson, we are the king of kings. He said, those other dudes was kings. He said, but we was the kings of kings. Right?
Well, it was 7 of them. It was them.
That was a crew, but it was Lance, it was Todd, you know what I'm saying? And it was the other brother. I forget his name right off the rip. The older brother, Tony, Pretty Tony.
Okay.
They was brothers, you know what I'm saying? You know, and they doing significant things out in Queens now, and they giving back to the community. They throw a concert every year at Roy Wilkins Park. You know what I'm saying? But I sat down with Soul B. You know what I'm saying? The big homie of all the big homies. I was invited to the brother Bimmy house. You know what I'm saying? Supreme Team. Why? Why? We glorifying? No, we ain't really glorifying, but we respect what these dudes been through and the times that they went through what they went through. How were they able to achieve what they achieved and still weather the storm?
You know, that's
what we get to.
Pardon me.
And just let me just complete the story, right?
Right.
And even though all that stuff got nuggets and jewels in it,
right,
that's still entertainment, King.
Correct.
Because the essence is, how do you process a 2020?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What is illegal search and seizure? You know what I'm saying? How do you beat illegal gun possession?
Right.
What is constructive and non-constructive? You know what I'm saying? What is due process? How to post bails? Give me some steps from 1 to 9 so that somebody in the cell can read that shit and call their moms or their grandmother and tell them how to come and get them out of jail.
Right.
That's what Urban Life News is.
Right.
That other shit is just applesauce.
Applesauce just to get you going.
You know
so
what I'm
Urban
saying?
Life News is basically you giving people the information that can help them.
Yeah,
Urban
bro.
Life News
And it's
about.
to tell our story.
Correct.
It's our story.
Definitely.
Because
Story
whether it be streets or in the corporate boardrooms, like me and Slick was talking about earlier, it's history. It's still a part of our story.
Facts.
Definitely.
See, the universe don't recognize bad or good. Only thinking makes it so. Things are what they are. See what I'm saying? As a man's think of in his heart, so is he. He don't say as a man think bad or he think good. He's just thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because these mafia dudes, they still getting money. They still getting money. It's just what they do with their money.
Correct.
They putting their kids through school.
Right.
They opening up plumbing businesses.
Yes.
They don't open up no bodega. They open up a delicatessen. Sandwiches $20. Ain't no $5 sandwiches up in there, King.
And Tyson, just as you said that, that's another thing I just wanted to bring up, because it's like when you look at like people from like the hoods, right? The big kingpins, the drug dealers, they get caught up, right? They lose everything. The cars is gone, the cribs is gone, the money is gone, right? You gotta start from ground zero. These mafia dudes, they get caught up. The mansions still stay there. The businesses is still running
because they set up a business system.
Okay, that's what.
Right? They doing real business. Just to keep it real, we just keeping it real.
They doing real business, right?
They doing legitimate business, but they always had the game, because when they came here with game and a plan.
Okay.
Right. We came here, man, just to keep it real. We a few years away from slavery, King. We was completely stripped of the knowledge of ourselves. And we might be the authors and the creators of all these systems, but when you be knocked in your head and you forget who and what you are, other people can benefit off your labor.
Correct.
We was promised more gold than we were earning in our own country. Did we receive more gold? No, the trader disappeared, and there was no one left to speak our language. Come on, King. We ain't started getting...
This whole system is run off.
Ain't nobody teaching how to do nothing, King.
All they did was turn it into laws and regulations and court systems. Yo, man, you ever realize you get pulled over and you get a ticket and you go to court and you are not found guilty, but you still got to pay a court fee? You know, that's called extortion, period. At the highest form.
But it's legal extortion.
It's legal extortion because they wrote a law, they wrote a rule to subdue it, to say, oh no, we right about it. Like this is what it is. This is what it's always gonna be. We have to change that narrative. But again, we don't see like the kingpins of our time and all the motherfuckers that was getting money in our time. They throwing block.
Well, that's a fact.
And they took care of that nigga.
It's called community justice,
right? You know what I'm saying?
See,
So it's just the neighborhood. The one thing about these neighborhoods, these niggas made money, but they took care of the neighborhood. They make sure the neighborhood was good. They give back to the neighborhood. They make sure all these programs with these kids, basketball, football, they make sure, when you went and hollered at them, man, I'm trying to run a program. They're like, all right, cool, don't worry about it. They threw that money to you so you can go ahead and get it right.
Just to add on to that, right, to interject, those are the dudes that we're talking about that got the 20 15, 30 years,
40 years.
Who came from certain principles.
Right.
And they were removed from the communities and the babies were left to fend for themselves. See, because we fucking around in a time where there's a lack of integrity, man. there's a lack of integrity because there's a lack of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? There's a lack of loyalty. There's a lack of honor. There's a lack of respect for each other. Dudes don't even hold the door for the lady coming through the hallway no more. You smoke right in front of her.
Yeah, like that's crazy.
And never used to
That's crazy.
But,
You used to hide.
just to go back to what we was talking about in terms of the community, the business of America is business. We don't be doing business. We get caught up in the drug dealing, the culture of it. We get caught up in the ambiance of it.
Right.
We too busy trying to look cute.
We don't get caught up
We
in
too
the
busy.
business aspect.
Yeah, we don't do business.
Do business, yeah.
Because the business of America is business, King. We ain't owning enough businesses.
That's a fact.
We ain't buying back our community.
Yeah, we supposed to be.
We associating with a block. We repping a hood, but we don't got no stake in that community. Don't none of the stores. None of the people who own the stores look like us.
Right.
They ain't even no fish spots around here, King.
That shit crazy.
You know what I'm saying? They ain't no soul food spots. They ain't no after school programs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Everything now is a daycare for a course.
Yeah.
Right? There ain't none of that to support the community, fam. Come on, bro.
Of course.
So what you gotta do is you gotta find people who are A alike self. Because A alike, B alike, and we C alike. And you advocate for the same common cause, you create a movement, and you get busy. And like energy attracts like energy. You know what I'm saying? We can't waste no time searching for that which don't exist. You know what I'm saying? We can't be losing a lot of valuable time, man. You gotta get busy. But true to the sentiment of the people, they need to see you get busy now. Because nobody, and what I realize in business is that nobody will invest or give you something until you have something worthy of investing in. That's the other side of business that we was talking about. Because a lot of times we activating off emotion. We think because we starting the movement and we got something that we feel is dope that people who support us are supposed to invest in us. First, we gotta earn their respect.
You gotta earn their respect first.
By doing it yourself.
It's good.
Because they ain't never been
And there's people out here that's so crazy now, where I say the loyalty goes crazy, because I've seen people who paperwork ain't good. And you know what I've heard these young dudes say? Nah, but son, get to the bag. Or son ain't tell on me.
All they care about is the money.
See what I'm saying? Oh, he ain't tell on me. You know what I'm saying?
They don't know they gonna be lynched a few years later when that nigga ain't got no more.
When we talk about shit like that, like, how do you feel about that?
Crazy.
Because I'm big on integrity. I'm big on loyalty. So
the game is disgusting.
Okay.
The game is disgusting, King. But the game is still the game. Paperwork is a universal method of validation. It's a universal language. You know what I'm saying? And it's dope because if your paperwork ain't good, then you won't be accepted by your own people. And in the feds, everything is segregated. Every state is a gang, a whip, or a car. So if you're from Florida, D.C., New York, Jersey, Connecticut, every one of those states got a table in the mess hall.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Every one of those states and or gangs or religious groups.
I've never been in the mess hall, but definitely.
And or religious groups, from the Christians to the Muslims to the Catholics to the Italians to the dirty white boys to the Nathaniels to the MS to the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut.
Somebody with some fucked up paperwork.
Oh yeah, yes.
It's because a lot of times we don't. You know, we also got this thing amongst us that and when we see some fucked up paperwork, we don't really want to put a nigga business out there in the street. Because we also view that as like, oh man, it's still a part of that game of where I might be telling on a nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
but I believe, this just my belief. If a nigga paperwork ain't right, we supposed to be letting that nigga know, yo, that nigga paperwork ain't right. Because everybody in his vicinity should know not to do nothing with this.
Nothing at all.